everybody. Welcome to study number 14 in our Search of the Scriptures study. We are in the book of Job at the moment, and today we are going to cover chapter 30 and chapter number 31 and attempt to answer a couple different sets of questions from those two chapters. First of all, from chapter 30, we're going to contrast Job's present condition with his previous prosperity that he talked about in chapter 29, and in what ways is Job now beset by misery and distress, and what is his chief reason for perplexity and complaint. And from chapter 31, of what sin, secret and public, does Job here declare himself innocent and make a list and use it for self-examination. In contrast to the judgment of his friends, what is Job seeking here to prove about his present condition? Well, let's look at chapter 30 and chapter number 31 of the book of Job together. If you have a Bible, open it up and turn to that portion of Scripture. If you don't have one, the words should appear on the screen. And let's listen to this passage of Scripture and go through it together.
Job 30. But now they mock me, men younger than I, whose fathers I would have disdained, to put with my sheepdogs. Of what use was the strength of their hands to me, since their vigor had gone from them? Haggard from want and hunger, they roamed the parched land in desolate wastelands at night. In the brush they gathered salt herbs, and their food was the root of the broom tree. They were banished from their fellow men, shouted at as if they were thieves. They were forced to live in the dry steam beds among the rocks and in holes in the ground. They brayed among the bushes and huddled in the undergrowth. A base and nameless brood, they were driven out of the land. And now their sons mock me in song. I have become a byword among them. They detest me and keep their distance. They do not hesitate to spit in my face. Now that God has unstrung my bow and afflicted me, they throw off restraint in my presence. On my right the tribe attacks. They lay snares for my feet. They build their siege ramps against me. They break up my road. They succeed in destroying me, without anyone's helping them. They advance, as through a gaping breach. Amid the ruins they come rolling in. Terrors overwhelm me. My dignity is driven away as by the wind. My safety vanishes like a cloud. And now my life ebbs away. Days of suffering grip me. Night pierces my bones. My gnawing pains never rest. In his great power, God becomes like clothing to me. He binds me like the neck of my garment. He throws me into the mud, and I am reduced to dust and ashes. I cry out to you, O God, but you do not answer. I stand up, but you merely look at me. You turn on me ruthlessly. With the might of your hand you attack me. You snatch me up and drive me before the wind. You toss me about in the storm. I know you will bring me down to death, to the place appointed for all the living. Surely no one lays a hand on a broken man when he cries for help in his distress. Have I not wept for those in trouble? Has not my soul grieved for the poor? Yet when I hoped for good, evil came. When I looked for light, then came darkness. The churning inside me never stops. Days of suffering confront me. I go about blackened, but not by the sun. I stand up in the assembly and cry for help. I have become a brother of jackals, a companion of owls. My skin grows black and peels. My body burns with fever. My harp is tuned to mourning, and my flute to the sound of wailing. Job 31. I made a covenant with my eyes, not to look lustfully at a girl. But what is man's lot from God above? His heritage from the Almighty on high? Is it not ruin for the wicked, disaster for those who do wrong? Does he not see my ways and count my every step? If I have walked in falsehood, or my foot has hurried after deceit, let God weigh me in honest scales. He will know that I am blameless. If my steps have turned from the path, if my heart has been led by my eyes, or if my hands have been defiled, Then may others eat what I have sown, and may my crops be uprooted. If my heart has been enticed by a woman, or if I have lurked at my neighbor's door, then may my wife grind another man's grain, and may other men sleep with her. For that would have been shameful, a sin to be judged. It is a fire that burns to destruction. It would have uprooted my harvest. If I have denied justice to my men servants and maidservants when they had a grievance against me, what will I do when God confronts me? What will I answer when called to account? Did not he who made me in the womb make them? Did not the same one form us both within our mothers? If I have denied the desires of the poor, or let the eyes of the widow grow weary, if I have kept my bread to myself, not sharing it with the fatherless, but from my youth I reared him as would a father, and from my birth I guided the widow, if I have seen anyone perishing for lack of clothing, or a needy man without a garment, and his heart did not bless me for warming him with the fleece from my sheep, if I have raised my hand against the fatherless, knowing that I had influence in court, then let my arm fall from the shoulder, let it be broken off at the joint. For I dreaded destruction from God, and for fear of his splendor I could not do such things. If I have put my trust in gold, or said to pure gold, you are my security, if I have rejoiced over my great wealth, the fortune my hands had gained, if I have regarded the sun in its radiance, or the moon moving in splendor, so that my heart was secretly enticed, and my hand offered them a kiss of homage, then these also would be sins to be judged, for I would have been unfaithful to God on high. If I have rejoiced at my enemy's misfortune, or gloated over the trouble that came to him, I have not allowed my mouth to sin by invoking a curse against his life. If the men of my household have never said, who has not had his fill of Job's meat? But no stranger had to spend the night in the street, for my door was always open to the traveler. If I have concealed my sin as men do, by hiding my guilt in my heart, because I so feared the crowd and so dreaded the contempt of the clans, that I kept silent and would not go outside, oh, that I had someone to hear me. I sign now my defense. Let the Almighty answer me. Let my accuser put his indictment in writing. Surely I would wear it on my shoulder. I would put it on like a crown. I would give him an account of my every step. Like a prince I would approach him. If my land cries out against me, and all its furrows are wet with tears, if I have devoured its yield without payment, or broken the spirit of its tenants, then let briars come up instead of wheat, and weeds instead of barley. The words of Job are ended.
Now let's look to the questions for study number 14 from chapter 30. Contrast Job's present condition with his previous prosperity, as mentioned in chapter 29. In what ways is Job now beset by misery and distress? And what's his chief reason for perplexity and complaint? Well, it seems that Job was once among the social elite, but he now finds himself a social outcast. And this fall from a position of status in the community to one of disdain was something that was extremely difficult for Job to handle. But it was not something that he was willing to deny God over. There are many that in our world today that cling to false prosperity teaching, and they would actually be forced to deny their faith if placed in a position like Job was. But Job remained firm in his faith toward God. From chapter 31, of what sins, secret and public, does Job here declare himself innocent? Make a list and use it for self-examination. In contrast to the judgment of his friends, what's Job seeking here to prove about his present condition? In chapter 31, Job goes to great lengths to plead his innocence when it came to his treatment of his workers, widows, orphans, and even his enemies. He's perplexed as to why God continues to beat him down and drag him through the mud. While his friends blame Job's present condition on some unconfessed or hidden sin, Job here is declaring that his present condition is due to a testing by God and is not the result of any injustices that he has perpetrated on any others or against the Lord himself. Hope this study's been a blessing to you. May God richly bless the rest of your day.